Okay, so I'm going to do a tier list for all of the House of the Dragon characters that I've grown to know because I have recently finished the series and I've been wanting to do a tier list for a long time. And I'm like, I should just do it. So here's my tier list. On the top is obviously the GOATs, the greatest of all time characters. The next one is Bay. I love her. I love him or her. The next one is I'm supposed to hate you, but I kind of like you. Next one is I don't really care for these characters. Like they're not very interesting. Next one is hated seeing you on my screen. Absolutely just despise you. I hate you. This last one is I hope you get eaten alive by a dragon regurgitated. You deserve the most painful death. I absolutely hate you. Like, yeah, just, yeah. Okay, so let's get started. Christian Cole, definitely one of the bottom two tiers. Hated seeing you on my screen. Christian is one of those guys that, like, will get rejected by a girl and is like so um like very offended by that. It's like how dare you reject me, you know? And he will make that girl's life a living hell. He will side with her enemies, do anything that it takes to bring her down. He's that type of guy, and I that's why I hate him. Honestly, he can just go fuck off because I really hate his character. For the moment he like stepped on screen, I knew there was something about him that I was gonna hate. Like I just knew, even though the actor is attractive, I'm like, you know what? Because like I feel like I'm gonna hate you further on. There's just something about him, and like also the fact that he like doesn't like want like he thinks that Rhaenyra is actually gonna go and pick oranges with him and like leave her entire life behind and her throne to be with him. Like who do you think you are, Christian? Like you're not that special. You're not um on par with Princess Rhaenyra, the true heir to the Iron Throne. So you're just like the dirt on the bottom of her shoe. So please just know your place. Period. Okay. Next one is I think his name is Lionel Strong. He's the father of Harwin Strong and the Hand of the King. So I'm gonna put him in Bay because I actually really like his character. I like the like interactions that he has with like a lot of the main characters, and like even though he doesn't have enough screen time, like the snarky comments that he makes are sometimes really funny, and like he seems like a very loving and caring father. Of course, he's like very naive to the fact that like his sons are up to like very different things, like Harwin and the whole Rhaenyra situation with like their romance, which is definitely not allowed. But his father is not aware of it. Like I know, it's very naive, but you can tell like when he's speaking to her, when he's very caring of him and he wants the best for him. Like he really truly loves his sons and he wants to be a good father. And he's actually a really good hand to the king. He like gives his unsolicited advice, but also like keeps King Viserys in check. Um, yeah, I really liked him, but sadly, like a kind-hearted spirit like him isn't gonna last very long in the Game of Thrones universe. So yeah, that was kind of expected for his life to be short. Um, Aemma is definitely Bay. Queen Aemma is literally one of my favorites, even though like she was on screen for a very short amount of time, but her screen time was very captivating because she seemed like such a beautiful and kind soul. She was an amazing mother to Rhaenyra. She really wanted the best for her, And even though she had so much complications with like childbirth, she kept a smile on her face the entire time. Like she just wanted to serve her king, her husband, and her children, and like the realm. And you know, it really ended in a horrific tragedy for her. And like her death was so bad, but like it was so painful, I guess, to go out like that. So I don't know, I really love her. Justice for Ama. I love her so much. Allison, I'm gonna put in I'm supposed to hate you, but I like you. Okay, listen. Allison is a cunt. She is. But in general, like I feel like she is a very complex character. I'm not gonna lie. And I enjoy watching her on screen, especially like the two actors that played her, Olivia Cook and the other one, Emily Carey. They they both did a fantastic job with her, with like how they portrayed her. Um, she seemed like at the beginning such an innocent and kind soul, but over the years she's been like influenced by her father and like the king and everyone around her to like kind of be be in servitude, to be obedient to the king and to her father, and kind of like play the Game of Thrones. She has to like play in order to, I guess, survive. And like the role of her as a mother is and a wife is very interesting because obviously she was very forced into this like kind of role of servitude. But once we got into her, like the glimpses that we get into her inner thoughts and emotions, like when she has screen time alone, we do see like this kind of like different perspective, I guess, of like, oh, Allison just deep down does want to be like Rhaenyra. She kind of like envies her because of the freedom that she has, and the the like sexual empowerment that Rhaenyra has that she will never have, because she's taught all her life to be like this womb to men and to be in servitude. And it's just, but she's a really good mother, and I think she's like very caring towards her children. I would argue that she is somewhat neglectful to her children, like, but I do think overall she's very kind and caring. And yeah, um let's just move on to the next character. But Corlys Valerion, yeah, Lord Corlys Valerion is a character that I've kind of like didn't care for at first, but actually I'm gonna put him here because I think like at the beginning everyone was just like, how could you sell your like very tiny daughter to like the king just like that? I think like in the beginning he's like very in like he's like very loyal to his house, and he wants to serve his family. He wants to serve his rank in the army, and his like role as master of the seas, Driftmark. Um, he kind of like wants to protect his house, and he has to play the Game of Thrones, which is like includes selling off your daughter, I guess, who is like around 11, 12, to like the older king. But like that's what he does to kind of like solidify his name, his Valerian title. But I think overall, like throughout the course of the series, he develops into more of like a caring father, I think, and a husband to Rhaenys. I do think like in the context of like Laenor, even though he like marries his like son off, even though he knows that he's different, he like acknowledges that his grandsons are not his. Like, there's a line where he says like, oh, family, like blood does not matter in history. Like, history does not care for blood or something like that. And so he like understands that his grandsons are not his, but he's willing to accept them as like lords of Driftmark because they're willing to serve him and they're willing to be there, um, to like uphold his title, and he respects that. Like he doesn't care, and he also like actually shows some compassion for his son because in the funeral of Lena, he goes up to the boyfriend of his son and he's like, "Go comfort him, like go comfort Lenor," while Lenor is crying for Lena, and yeah, he like shows his that side. In the end, I think he will be a true ally to Rhaenyra, and he will be Team Black. I think. Um, uh, I'll think I'll start to like him more. I think, yeah, and he's he's an interesting character to look forward to. Jace and Lucerys. Jace and Lucerys have to be in my Bay category, of course, because I think that they're absolutely adorable. They're the most they're the sweetest boys ever, especially in like contrast to Alicent's sons, Aemon and Aegon. Aegon, they're like the antithesis to their characters. They're very innocent. They do not know much about politics or war, but they are willing to like make their mother proud. They're very strongly like um, in servitude to their house, Targaryen and Valerion. Um, I think Lucerys as well is like um, very just even though it's like a very big task for him to take the dragon all the way to the Stark house. He willingly does it because he wants to make his mother proud and he wants to like solidify the fact that his mother is a true heir. Jace as well is like very kind to Helena when he asks her to dance at the like party in Westeros, and while like Aegon and Aemon are kind of like making snarky comments, he kind of like offers her his hand, and I feel like they're very kind, which doesn't really end well for Lucerys, of course, because his fate is like very a tragedy, very tragic at the end of the series. But I'm interested to see where things go with Jace. They're absolutely adorable. I think. Lena, I think I'm gonna put, and I don't really care for you, and I'm the reasoning why is that, like, I feel like the character. All I know about her is that she's very hot. She's like super beautiful. I think like the actresses that play her, I'm not really sure of their names, but like I think that like they're absolutely beautiful. Every actress that plays her, she looks like an anime character as well with like her silver hair and her dark skin. She's just like she's just so pretty. I just yeah. But I don't know much about her character enough to like care about her, especially with her like relationship with Damon and Lena. I'm kind of like guessing why Damon would like her, except for the fact that she's beautiful, I guess. But like maybe because they met at the wedding, they kind of formed a relationship. But I would kind of like to see like their marriage throughout. Like I would kind of like to see. We got like snippets of it there here and there, but we didn't really get to see it before her death. Like I think a scene of her with Damon would kind of like make me realize like what kind of person she is. I do think like she seems like a very caring and um, dutiful wife and mother. But other than that, I don't really know much about her. Um, so I wish she had gotten more screen time, especially with the scene with Vagar. Like, you know. she wants to off herself at that moment, and like it was very tragic. I didn't expect that, and that was just a scene that like I'll remember forever because that was so sad. But her death kind of like didn't make me feel like it didn't make me feel much about it about her because it was like I didn't really know about her character for me to care that much, you know? And so that's my only complaint. Um Next one is I don't know who that is, so I'm just gonna put that at the last. Viserys, I will say that I don't really care for him. Um Simply because number one, he is dead, but number two, he is like a good father, of course. Like he's willing to defend Rhaenyra to the death. Like he like is adamant that she is the true heir. She is the true heir to the Iron Throne, and he will stand by that until his very death. But in general, like I don't think he's a very good king. The reason for most of the turmoil in the show within the kingdom and like the division between the blacks and the greens is caused because of him, like because of his actions throughout the series. Not directly, but indirectly, I guess. It does like it's fueled by him. Like he is the main cause of it all. I feel like even though his reign was peaceful, and I feel like his death was very sad. Uh, he, I don't know, like his life was very sad. In general. Uh, yeah, that's all I have to say about him. I don't really care about him too much. Other than the fact that he was a good father, but a bad king. Laenor is my bae. Absolutely, I would put him over here. Um, because he is such a sweetheart. I actually really like him. He's like the gay icon of the series, you know, like he's a gay icon, and you know, he has this relationship with Joffrey that like was so tragic because it was such a healthy relationship, but I think like um the death of his loved one should have like caused the like should have let him they should have let him like behead Christian for that. I really think like just because like he made a snarky comment about your ex, like you're gonna fucking beat him to death. Like if I was Laenor, I would probably just execute him right in there and then. But yeah, Laenor is just a sweetheart throughout, and he's also a very like caring husband. He actually really wants Rhaenyra to, like, he really wants to support Nyra, and she like he's less like the very supportive male wife. I mean, um, he's like yeah, that's his motto, like the very supporting gay male wife of the queen. And I hope we get to see him in the future, even though I know that he's like run away. But I hope that we get to like have like a side quest with him in the future seasons. Larry's. Oh, I hope this one will go in my bottom tier. So there are like three types of men in Westeros. One of them is the very lustful, um, like for violence and war, um, men that like are very hateful. And then the second one is that men are who are like very innocent and compassionate, um, and do no harm. And the third one is men like Larry's who sit in the background and enjoy the suffering of others. They it's just all of them, all of it is just a game to them. They're super creepy, super cunning, like controls the strings type of person. And that is what Larry says, and he's just so creepy. And the fact that he has a foot fetish, like ew. I think also like he has a thing for Alicent. Like I think he fantasizes himself as the king to the queen consort, and it's just really it's really disgusting, but yeah, I do think he has a crush on her. Um, yeah, moving on. Amond, yeah, this is Amond. He's a child actor. But Amond throughout the series, I think I'm supposed to hate you, but I like you. Okay, I think um, I'm gonna put him here because Amond is a character that I actually really like throughout the series. Because he's also complex like Allison. I think he grew up with a lot of like neglect from his parents and his entire family. Like the Targaryen family is no easy family to grow up in, of course, but I think particularly him, he was like very bullied and beaten down by his own brother, and like also like sometimes by the Rhaenyra's sons as well. And so like he was considered like the underdog. He was very like small as a child, and so he would get picked on. But I think like that kind of like when he grew up, that kind of like made him all of that like neglect, all of that bullying kind of like made him very resentful and spiteful. He became like very angry all of the time. He has like a lot of anger issues, I think, like and violent tendencies that he has to resolve. I think like the fact that he like you had to like conquer Vagar was very impressive. I think it was absolutely well deserved though because the way that he handled it was incredible. But like honestly, like sometimes you do hate him, but sometimes you kind of like are very intrigued by his character. Like there's more to his character, especially when at the like when he's like traveling to find Aegon. With Christian, he says a bunch of lines that are very interesting to me, which are like, "Oh, I'm next in line for the throne," but like I don't know, like he kind of like views him beneath his brother, like, and he's always going to be that way. I think he acknowledges that, but like he like someday wants to be like he wants to be loved, and he ultimately wants to be like seen as just as important as Aegon is by his mother. I think he like wants that kind of approval from his mother, and that will be very interesting to see him going forward. Rainey's absolute queen, absolute girl boss, of course, the goat. I absolutely loved her from the beginning to the end. I know that like will say like the beginning she was kind of spiteful of Rhaenyra, but I feel like that's justified because she has lived most of her life in spite of like in spite of Rhaenyra because she most of her life like she never got the opportunity to be on the throne like because there was like um notion that women couldn't be on the throne, and like for her to see Rhaenyra being so loved and admired by everybody, it kind of like rubs her the wrong way because she was supposed to be queen and it didn't work out for her. So like, why is this girl getting the praise that she should be getting? Um, but like, I do think that going forward, she will be a strong ally to Rhaenyra. Um, and I also love her quote that she says to Alicent, like, "Why don't you want the throne? Like, don't you want anything for yourself?" And she kind of like makes Alicent question, like, why is she doing everything for other men and she's not doing anything for herself? Like, it's like she kind of like is a very self aware of like the game that they have to play in the Game of Thrones, but also like how vile it is, how like hateful and um, violent it is in the grand scheme of things. Like she's very aware of it, and yeah, I'm really excited to see her character going forward. Harwin is definitely my bae. I we do not. Harlan should go over here. I definitely do think that like sorry. I definitely do think that like we don't know much about his character, of course. We don't know much about like how he's gonna like he's already dead, which sadly I like his death was so untimely. I would have liked to see more of a dynamic his dynamic with Rhaenyra and also with his sons as well. Um the fighting scene with his son was great, but I would have liked to see them like him being more of a caring father to them. I actually think he's such a Chad. He's such a Chad. Honestly, like he is. He seems like he's the kind type of guy to like worship Rhaenyra. He's the type of guy who would be like this wonderful, loving husband, very loyal to her. Would definitely support her as the queen. Definitely just like give her back rubs every day, like after she's like done ruling or whatever in the council. He's just definitely a male wife as well. He's like Lenore, I think, but he's like actually straight, so that's great, for Rhaenyra. Definitely a match for Rhaenyra, but it's like his death is so untimely. I feel really like cheated because why would he die so quickly? Like it just felt really wrong for him to die like that. Just yeah, he's totally a Chad though, totally. Um, Rhaenyra definitely the goat. She is little perfection. Sorry, can't click anything. Okay, she is the little goat of like we're like she is the true heir to the throne. It is hers, and she's the rightful birthright. She's the birthright. Um, and I do think like what's interesting about her is that like I think that a lot of her adult life parallels her mother's Ama, and it's so like eerie how like similar the actresses look to each other, like the older actresses look to each other because they really actually feel like mother and daughter. Like I just like can't like there's resemblance is so uncanny. Like they feel like doppelgangers. But what I think is like Rhaenyra is sort of like resembles her mother so much, but in the way that like in the way that she's like more headstrong and independent, and she's just like this person that like um, grew up with that like kind of like encouragement, empowerment from her father that like Ama didn't get, and so she's kind of more of like an independent woman that's also like a very loving and caring mother. And I don't feel like we have a lot of strong mothers as representation for female empowerment. So which is like really interesting to see because I feel like strong mothers are really needed. Um, like she is yeah, she's just incredible. I love her so much. Like she's the absolute goat. And I really hope that like going forward in the series, Rhaenyra. I'm very Team Black, so I hope that Rhaenyra lives long. Even though I kind of like got some spoilers, but I won't say it. But like, from the book, um, don't read the book if you like want it spoiled for you. But yeah, I kind of like really wish that like she'd like win, but Um, nonetheless, let's just move on. Um, oh, Lena. Oh, sorry. I think I kind of like messed this up. Okay. Next character is Helena. Helena is a sweetheart, of course. I think I'm gonna put her in Bay. Um, yeah, I'm gonna put her here. Helena is somebody that is like I'm gonna put her here actually because I like Lenore a lot. Helena is I don't know about her, but she like seems we don't know much about her character right now because she doesn't have a lot of screen time. but she is like very in terms of like her personality, she's like a fresh new face to the Targaryen family because she's like an avid dreamer. She is very whimsical. I guess like she has a lot of curiosity. She kind of like makes me think that she could be autistic, which like I know that like it's kind of controversial to say, but like I think that she could be like neurodivergent in some aspects because of like her like dreamer personality, I think. She just seems like a very good sweetheart and she's bae, like it's self-explanatory. Um Jaharis, I don't really care for you. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to put you here. Actually, before Lena. Yeah, Jaharis is like a character that we haven't even got to know. Maybe if you read the books, you will be more familiar with him, but and the way he rules. But as a king, I we don't really get to know much about him, except the fact that he like doesn't want a woman for a leader, so I don't really think I like you very much. But yeah, I don't really care for him because I don't really know much about his character. Um, Lena and oh, Reyna and Bela, who are the daughters of Lena and Damon. Um, I'm gonna have to put this in. I don't really care for you right now. Simply because like I do think that they're both adorable and but they don't really have much of a like role right now about like they don't have big roles. They don't have much screen time in general considering like the timeline of the whole 10 episode series. Like it's very hard to like fit everything in. But I do think like in the future episodes they could have a bigger role and I do know that like in the last episode, one of them, I think Bela or I don't know, but she was at the round table with Rhaenyra talking about like war plans against the Greens, and so I feel like one of them could be involved more in politics. I feel like they could like have more of a personality outside of like oh, just marriage and servitude to like the brothers um, and have like a more of a personality, have their own lives. I'm willing to see like their own stories, like and how they play out. Yeah, and I'm also willing to see more of their relationship with their father, Damon, because I don't think I've like really seen them interact much, which is sad, but kind of like want to see them interact more and talk more. Otto Hightower definitely last year. I hope you get eaten alive by a dragon and regurgitated. Just like fuck him because I really hate him so much. Like I cannot like. I'm gonna put him first because I think he's just the most scheming snake ever. Like he just pisses me off so much. He's the reason why Alicent had to marry Viserys and why this whole like, thing with Aegon being the throne. Like his goal is to just like let Aegon be the king and drive Rhaenyra out of the kingdom and sort of like turn everyone against her. He is just like a massive snake and everyone hates him and I hate him and yeah. Moving on, Damon is absolutely the GOAT. I'm gonna put him up here with Rhaenyra and Rhaenys. Damon is a character that is great. Like he's neither good or bad, so don't think like I'm saying that like by putting Damon at the top, I'm saying that he's a good character. Like absolutely not. Like he is not a good character from the beginning. Like when he's like um with the King's Guard and he like chops a bunch of like people's bodies up and stuff. Like it's not like he's like a very he's like the antithesis of King Viserys because he's like very chaotic and violent and the way he like kills his wife and try to like manipulates others. he at the end of the I think sometime in the 10th episode, he does like kind of choke Rhaenyra, like he's kind of abusive to her. He doesn't really care about her during her childbirth. He isn't really an idealistic husband, of course, like, but he is like in general, like he never tries to be a good guy. He never does, and he acknowledges that throughout the whole series that he's neither good or bad. He doesn't try to be the good guy. He doesn't try to be the hero. He just tries to play the game of Thrones, and that's what he's doing. He's not like actually trying to like do the right thing. He's just like trying to survive in this like hostile environment, and I feel like Damon is a very interesting character for that, especially in his like battle with like the Crawfeeder or something. Yeah, it's like very interesting to see him like as like this fierce warrior um who like emerges victorious at the end of that episode, and like everybody just like loves him for it, you know? He's like a bad hero kind of. He's like a bad and a good. He's like a gray hero to a lot of people. He's also very charismatic. Like he's played by Matt Smith, so obviously like we he will be very like callous but also very charismatic and charming. Um yeah, he's just literally such a complex character that I have to put him in the GOAT tier. Obviously never a good character by all means, but a very interesting one. Aegon, which is the last character I'm gonna do, is definitely somebody that's like needs to get eaten by a dragon and regurgitated. I definitely hate him. Since the moment I saw him on screen, I was just like, even as a baby, I was just like, you're taking the spotlight away from Rhaenyra, of course. And as a young adult, like he seemed very arrogant. Like he seemed like he had the hoariness and brassness of Daemon, and the like laziness and laid backness of King Viserys. You know, it's not a good combo, and like he doesn't even have the charm of like Daemon. He doesn't even have like the charisma that he does. It's just like he's very unlikable. He's very I don't know, he's just very disgusting in the way that he like performed that like sexual assault on that maid. Um and like he's married to Helena, which is so disgusting, but you know, he makes this comment about how he's like he doesn't leave her alone about like or Helena makes this comment about like how he will leave her alone unless he's drunk. So that means like he rapes her. Which is absolutely disgusting, but yeah, you know, like I do think that Aegon is shaping up to be a very like hateable character, similar to Joffrey um, in Game of Thrones, and I think that like going forward, I'm interested to see like how how bad he really becomes, you know, when he's on the throne and when he's getting his power trip through Ottawa Tower, and so yeah, this is my complete tier list. Please don't really like don't judge me because I've just like compiled this like based on my own opinions. Um, yeah, and like let me know what you think down in the comments and subscribe and like. Thank you so much.